We're going to have fun today working on our birds. It was probably a couple months ago that I got out my paper clay again after quite an absence and made this little chicken. And when I did it, I thought, oh, it would be fun to make a video of it, but I never did because I don't know why, I just didn't get around to it. But I like her, she's cute, she's by my bed, kind of keeping things interesting there, especially with her sparkly necklace. So anyway, she came along a couple months ago and I thought about making a video, but didn't. But then, just before Christmas, when I opened up my box of Christmas ornaments to do the tree, I found something I had totally forgotten I had, which is these other 3 birds that I made for Christmas decorations. And they are paper clay also. There's one. Move her over a little bit. And here's another one. Pretty cute, I think. Decorated with mixed media types of things. Paper clay body, head, beak, wings, tail, and wire legs. Oops. Now you stand up there. Okay. And then this one, she's bending over picking something up off the ground, a really pretty crystal. And she has flat black pearls on her for decoration and so on. And the same deal as before, paper clay with wire legs and then mixed media decoration. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, I think one of the advantages of doing this kind of bird, which is a totally fanciful bird, rather than a particular bird like this chicken, is that I think making these involves less stress because you're not trying to do something precise. You're just trying to get something that looks like a bird. And I know we'll be able to do that. So we'll put these guys aside. You guys can watch, make sure I'm not making any mistakes. And we'll go over just quickly the materials, which are readily available and not expensive and just really fun to work with. So the first is paper clay. And I like to use this brand, Creative Paper Clay. It's not very expensive. This is a 16-ounce block. It's plenty to make lots of birds. And then I use wire for the legs. This happens to be rusted wire that I bought on Etsy, and I think it's probably 24 gauge. I have a couple of other rolls of it, but I think they're all about the same thickness. This might be no, I think that's the same. Anyway, so it's pretty thin, but does the trick because we're going to double it. And then I have aluminum foil. The body is going to be, the center of the body is going to be aluminum foil, just so we don't use up a bunch of paper clay. And of course, it's not because the paper clay is expensive, it's because it takes time to dry, and you should really only add about a 1/4 inch thickness of clay at a time, and then let it dry and add more. So I'm going to start with the center, and I have about 1 foot here of foil. I'm just going to rip up a square. It's about maybe a 6-inch square, and this is kind of small. I want it the size of a large walnut, so let's add a little more. Simple crumpling technique. I'm making it pretty tight because I don't want it to squish around when I'm putting the clay on top of it. So, and I can flatten it on the table or shape it by rolling on the table. And when I compare it to my chicken, it's probably about the right size. When I compare it to the other birds, it's a little small. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little more and probably focus the additions on the ends. So now I have kind of a longer, or I have a longer shape. And that's that. Now I can almost already tell which is going to be the head end and which is going to be the tail end. I think this is the head and this is the tail. But we will see as we add the clay. So I'm just kind of pressing it some more to sort of smooth out the edges. Now, on birds, real birds, their spines are fused from their shoulders to their hips, which means they can't like do the twist or anything. And this works fine for that, because this also, if you consider that the shoulders are going to be about here and the hips are going to be about here, that's not going to move from side to side. But where you get the expression, or all the, sorry about the noise, all the character and the body language of the bird really is in the head and neck, the swishing of the tail, and maybe to some extent the legs. So now I'm going to start adding my paper clay. So I've just gotten out a blob of it now. I have a dish of water here, and the water helps stick the clay together. So this is air dry clay, but if you want to soften it or have it stick together if it's not sticking very well, then you can just add water. And of course, where there's water, there's paper towels. So all I'm going to do with this is flatten it, because I'm going to encase the paper clay, or sorry, the foil center in a clay coat. So I'm just pinching it with my fingers. I want it a little longer than the core. I'd like it, you know, not really round, but kind of, you can't really make it square, but more squared off than round, because that body in the center is fairly consistent diameter, and we're going to roll this around it. So let's see how that's going to work. Okay, we need it bigger. And if you need to add, you can just squish it out. I don't think I've got it too thin by any stretch of the imagination. But if you need to add more clay to get it big enough to go around your core, you certainly can do that. So I think this side is looking a little better. So this is going to be my outside. And I'm smoothing it with the water too, and kind of evening it out. Okay. So let's try and wrap it. And I'm going to have more sticking out the bottom end than the head end. And I think I'll have her upside down for this procedure. So I have enough. It's not totally meeting, but I can certainly maneuver it around so that it is. And at the ends, so I think this is going to be the head end. So just going to work with that a little bit, put some water in here to help it stick. Maybe I should take my rings off. And it doesn't want to stick there. Okay. And then this is going to be the tail end. So let me Run some water in there too. So it's messy, but it's not horrible. So I kind of want my seam on the bottom, but it doesn't really matter. If I get it smoothed out, it doesn't matter at all. But that's going to be the bottom. And then for the head, I'm just going to start squeezing and pulling for the neck. And by the way, I have not made any conclusions or even thought about what I want this bird to look like. So it will just become what it wants to. So there we're getting a nice neck. And I'm just squeezing and pulling that clay towards the front. Now, I have more than I need, I think, but let's work on the other end before we make that decision. When you're using paper clay, remember it's air dry clay, so you want to keep it tightly wrapped in plastic so that it doesn't dry out. I think I used this, I opened this package probably about a year ago and it's still fine because I kept it wrapped. And I'm having a little problem here because I had a blob and trying to smooth out the blob. And it's just pushing, moving the clay with your fingers and your thumb. So there's kind of a bird. Now I see that this bird wants to turn its head this way. So to do that, I'm pushing on the inside of the curve over here with my thumb and pulling on the outside edge. So I think, let's see, let's pinch out a beak and see how much, if any, extra clay we actually have. That's kind of fun, isn't it? It just somehow becomes a bird. Now, you may be able to see that I have this gook on my fingers, and what's happening there is that the gook on my fingers wants to stick to the gook on the bird, and so it's kind of pulling away where I don't want it to pull away. So I'm going to clean my hands off, and let's see. There's a little blob of clay right where the beak wants to, right where the tip of the beak wants to be, which is kind of annoying. So I think we'll come back and work on it some more, but I think, generally speaking, except for the beak, it looks pretty good. Now, when this stuff is dry, you can sand it. So you don't have to be real worried if it's not smooth like you want it. But I think that's pretty good. Now, for the tail, let's see. I kind of like birds that stand up. So I'm going to have this one not like that. Although you could. I don't know. There's a little crack there. So I do have to decide. Okay, let's see. Standing up. I like tall legs too. So I think I will. Let's see what it looks like if I turn the tail up. Ooh, that's nasty underneath there. And there's where that icky blob was. Don't like that. It may also have been a part of the clay that was just a little harder than the other parts. Maybe that piece of clay was right at the edge of the block of clay and got dried out more than the rest. So there it goes again, opening up. Excuse me. So this side, because of that blob, it kind of wants to make a little flourish there, which is okay. Kind of nice. And I think what I'll do is make one on the other side. So for that, I need a tool. We can just use the stick on this Q-tip. That's not going to come off. Okay. I'm continuing to work. Oh, I see I have a cat hair in here. That happens a lot. Pretty good. Pretty good. Now, I think I need a little more clay. Oh, and you know what? I didn't cover it up, so it's been sitting out in the air all this time, which is not good. So let's add a little bit down here. Just a little blob. Because we have this, you know, this wouldn't really show much because it's under the tail, but just to show you how you would add more clay, you just stick it on there and smooth it in with your fingers. And if you get tired of it for a while, or you want to take a break, you can certainly do that. You just need to cover or wrap this up with saran wrap, plastic wrap, I should say. Okay, so when we look down on the top, the shoulders are about here and the hips are about here. So from here up it can curve, and from here back it can curve. So I think I'm going to curve it around a little more, although that's where my problem clay is, so it's going to give me a problem again and make another gap. I think that's pretty good, except that I think I can use a little more on this side of the head. So let's see, I got a little piece here. Roll it up, add some water here, stick it on, move it around, smooth the edges. That's where it's that. So I was thinking this side of the head was not as full as I would like it. Now it's better. And I'm thinking, let's play with the beak a little bit. Add a little clay there. And again, you can always pinch it back off. Oh, here's another piece here. Okay. So this is going to be too much, but that's okay. I'm just going to wrap it around. Pretty big. Look at that. Get it smoothed in. Sometimes you need to rub both ways, so it's looking kind of weird at the moment. It looks like a duck bill. That's funny. Well, that might be kind of fun, actually. Let's see. Anyway, okay. So, like I said earlier, just let it do what it wants to do. And maybe it becomes a duck, and maybe it becomes something quite different. Now, I don't want that much, because if I have a long, narrow beak, it's just going to be a spot that wants to break. We don't want that. This is too big. Look at that profile. Wow. Not very friendly looking, so it probably was okay right when the way it was when I started. Take a little more off. But I just want to give you the idea of adding and subtracting the clay. You can do that. Just keep doing it, and now I've got this side small again, so take advantage of that clay that I pulled off and stick it right back on. I think this clay, one thing that really kind of amazes me about it is how much bend it like that and doesn't crack, which is very nice. Okay, and my hands are getting kind of messed up again. Animals that are looking up, I think, are naturally cute. And I also think that animals that are tilting their head one direction or another are kind of cute. So here we have both. We're looking to the side and tilting the head, but now now I've got the tail kind of weird. Okay, I think, well, wait, I've got it really twisted. Okay, let's see that. So if I have the tail flat, she's really twisted. Do I want that or do I not want that? And there's a funny blob. All right. I think I like that. Okay. Now, let's put this down for a minute, and one thing you may want to do is just get a little bed of fluffy paper towel to lay her down on. Okay, the next thing I'm going to go for is the eyes. Now for the eyes, I like to use glass beads. And they come in different sizes, so many millimeters. And I have a couple different sizes because I use them quite a bit. I got these at Fire Mountain Gems. So here's a kind of smallish one. Let's see what these are. These are 4 millimeter. These are what are they? 6 millimeter. So I am going to go with the smaller ones because I can always give her eyeshadow or eyeliner, which will make the eyes appear bigger. Now, if you don't want to mess with finding beads, the other thing you can do is make your eyes out of paper clay. So what you need to do, if you want to do that, is just take a little blob of clay, roll it into a ball. That's too big. Anyway, roll it into the ball that's the size you want. You'll need 2 of them, obviously. And then you make a hole in part of it, so that you can squish it in with your toothpick later, like I'm going to do with the bead. And then just let it dry. When it's dry, paint it black. And then you can proceed. So, clean my fingers again. I'm going to put the eyes in. And I will just pick up the bead. And now I want to press it in sideways. And I'm going to determine where I want it, press it, and I'm going to make that little indentation with the point of the toothpick. Looks like the corner of the eye. Now for the other eye, you have to find a place where you can kind of see both of them. And I think that works fine. And then another thing to do is to take this toothpick and press in a line separating the beaks. The point of the toothpick should point towards the eye. Oops, this one's a little off, but okay. Now then, another thing we can do, so we can do a little indentation like that. And kind of rolling the toothpick a little bit. And then come across the top. And the nostrils are on the beak. There we have her. She looks more bird-like now. Okay, The tail is is uneven. I don't care. I don't think I care. I don't care. And I think she looks pretty good at this point. Let's see, what else might I want to do? I think that's it. She's her own bird at this point, and what we have left for the basic bird are the wings, the rest of the tail, if we want to do any more on the tail, and the legs. So I think what I'm going to do at this point is take my toothpick. I'm going to press some lines that are separating these tail feathers. And there should be one in the middle. And then we're going to come down either side. There should be the same number on each side. And you know, you don't have to worry a whole lot about whether one side, looking from the side, whether one side is exactly the same as the other side, because you're not going to be seeing both sides at once. You're just going to be seeing one side and then the other. So this one is a little different, but I'll make it a little bit closer. Okay, now when I look down the top, there's something weird going on. We need well, I'm making her weirder and weirder, so I think it's time to stop, because when I come back, I can add more clay if I need to. And I think I probably do. Let's work a little bit on the legs. So what I would do for the legs is I would take a piece of cardstock, or a piece of paper, it doesn't have to be cardstock, and cut a scrap. Lay her down and get out my pencil and just say, okay, let's see it. I want her standing kind of up like that. So so there's the leg I'm going to have, and whether I have her more like this or more like this remains to be seen. So we have our sketch of what we want the legs to be, and we're actually going to go up a little more because we want wire to poke into the body. So I'm just going to use this as a guide. This is the back, and this is the front. The back toe is a little shorter, so we're going to take that, bend it. I'm going to cut myself a piece of wire. It's kind of hard to tell exactly how long, but you can leave it on the coil the whole time if you want, and then cut it right at the end. So this is here. And we're going to come to the back. I'm going to make it a little longer, to maybe 1/8 or so longer, because we're going to be twisting it. And this is going to be a sharp, excuse me, bend. And then I'm going to fold it again. I'll come out to the front. It's going to be about this long. And bend right next to that. We want another one. The middle one can be a little longer than the other. Take it back. Get a good pinch at the end. This is not a very... Okay, and then this one's going to be about the same size as the first one. Bend it, pinch it, and be nice to pinch that end and this end. And those three are going to radiate out. Like so. This one we can fold back to the back. There we have. Now, come under that back toe. And pulling it as tight as I can and squishing it down. And now I'm going, this is the hard part, to wrap it around this upright. Excuse me. It might help to hold it right there. Getting it started is hardest. Once it's started, you can hold it more easily, like that. And just wrap, wrap. I'm pulling hard. And I'm going to keep moving my pliers up towards where I'm wrapping so that I'm not getting a lot of bends in the leg. So it would be a bad idea to get really attached to making this perfect, because it's very hard to do, I think. Maybe you will have more luck. Okay, so now I think I can just do it without the pliers. And that's easier. Pretty messy up here at the top. And also, I didn't quite have enough wire to go as far as I wanted to. So I could either start all over again, or, oh look, That's fine. Or I could say, oh, that's fine. And then what you do, you pull these guys back to where they belong and grab the toe at the end and start twisting. So I'm pulling as I'm twisting. And I'm also counting how many twists I make. That was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which I think is enough. Then, and next one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that side toe, well, no, I'll do 8. It's a little shorter, so I could have done fewer twists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm gonna do one more. Just what you think looks right. Remember the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there we have our leg. Now you can kind of curve the toes up, and you know, by bending them you change the way the bird is standing and so on, but we'll work on that. We'll fine-tune that right at the end. So here we have some pretty long toes. She's going to stand nicely, and this will go into her body somewhere. I'm not sure yet exactly where. So I will need to make another leg, and then I will attach them. I've got my other leg made now, and so I am ready to put them on the body. Now, when I do this today, this is not going to be the final attachment. I just want to get a hole started for where they will go. So I have to decide how upright I want her. And I think I want her really looking up. And I have to figure out where the legs are, excuse me, are going to attach to the body. And I think it's going to be right about here. So, poke, oh. Okay. I said, oh, because it was going into the foil there, and it was a little hard. All right, so there we have it. Now, by bending the legs later, we can get her to balance better. Oh, and this leg is turned around. But we now have the holes for where the legs are going to go in general. So we're just going to leave that in there. Now, the other thing I'm going to do right now, by the way, you see all these marks on her. That's from the rust that came off the wire when I was working on it, and I didn't wash my hands. So I want to add some holes in case I want to put in some feathers or something later on the tail. And this will allow me to do that. I could drill the holes later on, but it's kind of difficult to drill into an edge like this. So I'm just going to do this now. And that's that. So I'm going to put her back down, let her dry. The legs are moving around. I'm not worried about that. She's going to dry overnight, and then we're going to come back and make some additions, corrections, changes, whatever, to the body. Get the legs on there good and tight, and then go ahead with the wings. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you give it a try. There's no right, there's no wrong. Every bird's going to turn out differently, and every bird will be charming in its own way. Okay, so I'll see you tomorrow.